Albert Einstein has been credited with saying that the most important decision we will ever make is whether we live in a hostile or a friendly universe. That question has really been on my mind as I've camped 2 nights solo in the Cascade Lake Wilderness. And I'm here to wish you a good morning with the sun coming in and tell you a little bit more about that experience. I'm Kristin Collier with Collier Connections. I'm a writer and a coach who supports people in accessing their effervescent wellspring of joy. And boy, this morning as I'm reflecting on the last couple of nights, I want to tell you what happened after the first night. So I recorded my very first evening right before I went to bed and facing my fears in that. And then I recorded the next morning about how the day before had gone in the receiving mode. And now I'm going to tell you what happened actually yesterday morning as I reflected on what happened the evening before. So I did sleep really well that first night on the whole. I slept for almost 11 hours. But I did wake up a couple of times because I thought I heard footsteps. And each time, the first time I thought I heard the footsteps, I got out my Leatherman, which was in my little pouch of my hammock, and I practiced opening it in my sleeping bag, which was probably ill-advised because if you think about the cost of repairing that expensive sleeping bag or repairing me if I'd stabbed myself, let alone the danger, probably not the best idea. And so at a certain point, the second time I woke up, I decided to dispense with the pocket knife and instead went with my pepper spray, which I could swip the little notch back and forth to practice opening that. That seemed like a little bit safer of a bet. Regardless, I listened and thought I heard steps and I realized that my fear had a price. You know, every time I thought I heard steps, I would start to sit up bolt right, but I learned that when I sat up, I would untangle my sleeping stuff around me and I would break the seal, and so all of that coldness would come back in and I'd have to spend a while resituating myself. So in addition to not being able to sleep if I kept jumping up because of fear, I also was getting colder. And then of course there was the pepper spray business and the knife, you know, the danger and potentially falling asleep with it in my lap and spraying myself in the crotch. What a way to wake up, right? So I decided to really, again, face my fears and turn my attention to listening to that beautiful babbling brook. Can you hear it? Amazing. And aligning myself with the wellspring of joy that came up in me in hearing that, which I had to go looking for a number of times, mind you. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to stop being fearful and turn to my joy. No, it doesn't quite work that quickly for me. Whether it was because of survival instincts or enculturation, I kept redirecting myself to that friendly universe, and most importantly, that friendly universe inside of me, attuning to my wellness. Now, I woke up the next morning and went straight for my boat to go out for it was a little after sunrise, but to go for a morning paddle. And I noticed that there was a paddleboard parked next to my canoe, and I said, oh, okay, so maybe there was somebody walking around. And I paddled out for over an hour to the south end of the lake and up a little creek and saw a waterfall and then laid in the sun sunbathing. And about 5 people came and went during that time. And the last one stopped and said, hey, you know, how's it going? I said, oh, good. And he said, you know, we're neighbors. I think we're camped in the same place. I said, oh, that's your paddleboard. And he said, yeah, I recognize your canoe. And I said, oh, cool. He said, where are you camped? I saw your gear hammock. And I said, that is my sleeping hammock. And he said, oh, I hope I didn't wake you up in the night because I climbed up there and I was standing pretty close looking at the stars. And I'm so glad I didn't do what I was inclined to do, which was to go check out how you were rigging your gear hammock and, you know, exactly, you know, what your setup was. I was really inclined to go check it out with my headlamp. Oh my gosh, can you imagine what would have happened? I have laughed for the last 24 hours thinking about that. Think about that. If he had gone and shook my hammock, you know, opened it up a little bit. I mean, I had this pepper spray at the ready, right? But what I didn't tell you too is that I had a bug net, which I had inexpertly hooked up around me, which meant that it wasn't hanging from a line as it was supposed to be, which would have given it a tent-like appearance, and he probably would not have taken it for a gear hammock. But anyway, if I had pulled out my pepper spray and given him a quick shot in the face as he rattled my hammock, that pepper spray would have hit me even more fully than it would have hit him. Probably would have gotten us both, and we definitely would have had a real rude awakening. At any rate, oh my gosh, that didn't happen. And yet, all of that experience that I had the night before, not only was that a learning experience about the importance of setting up the bug net properly, which I didn't even realize was set up improperly until the next morning, but it gave me a learning opportunity to again face my fears, to again turn my heart towards wholeness, towards safety, towards joy, because I knew realistically, there's not really a lot to fear. I mean, there may be bears, there may be people, but this situation demonstrated to me more than anything that even if there are people who disturb me, they're probably going to disturb me the same way that wildlife might disturb me, which is out of curiosity. I mean, there's a chipmunk 3 feet from me right now, snacking on a berry and super curious about y'all. Anyway, why is this woman talking to her camera? Anyway, curiosity is such a thing in alignment with the friendly universe. And that's the place where I want to live. That's the place where I want to be. So attuning to that brook over and over, when I attune to my inner sense of joy, I often feel like this sense of rising, the sense of like being a bubble. And sometimes I think to myself, I'm a bubble in the froth. I'm a bubble in the froth of joy, right? Just bloop, up to the surface with that babbling brook. I'm a bubble in the froth with the brook. I'm a bubble in the froth with you if you've got a smile on your face. Oh man, this bubbliness just expands as we become it, and people come to join it, and all beings come to join it, the chipmunk. So I would love to hear from you how you overcome your fears, and even especially more, I'd love to hear, how do you find yourself as a bubble in the froth, or however you experience your own joy? Especially, how do you shift from fear to joy? So please leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the trail or wherever we meet next. I'm having so much fun filming these, and I really thank you for watching.